Lena was 32 years old when she married Eric. He was 35, charming, and seemed like a good man who had just made some mistakes in life. Eric told her he had a huge debt, $100,000 from a bad business and a toxic relationship in his past. Lena believed him. She loved him and thought they were building a future together. She had a good job, saved money, and wanted to help her husband start fresh. Eric talked about how much the debt was weighing on him. He said he couldn't sleep, couldn't breathe, and felt like a failure. Lena wanted to see him happy, so she made a choice. She paid off the entire debt. It was a lot of money, but she believed it was for their shared future. She imagined their lives getting better, traveling, buying a house, maybe starting a family. At first, Eric said thank you and seemed grateful. They had dinner that night, raised a toast, and Lena felt proud. She thought this was the start of something good. But things changed fast. Just a few days later, Eric became quiet. He didn't answer texts right away. He stayed out late. Then, one night, he just didn't come home. Lena called him again and again. His phone went to voicemail. His social media accounts were gone. She checked their shared online accounts, and he had logged her out. She thought something terrible had happened. Maybe an accident, maybe something worse. But deep down, she had a bad feeling. A week passed. She was heartbroken and confused. Then a friend sent her a photo. Her hands shook as she opened it. It was Eric. He was smiling, holding hands with someone. That someone was Melissa, his ex. The same woman he once said ruined his life. The same woman he swore was out of his world forever. Lena couldn't believe it. After all she had done, all the love she had given, he had used her. He let her pay off his debt, then walked away without a word. He blocked her, left her, and ran back to someone he claimed to hate. She sat on the couch, staring at the screen. Her bank account was empty, her heart broken. She thought they were partners. She thought he loved her. But now she saw the truth. Eric never planned a future with her. He planned an escape. And she had paid for it. Lena met Eric on a rainy afternoon at a bookstore. She was looking at travel books when he asked if she had ever been to Italy. They started talking and ended up getting coffee nearby. He was funny, warm, and seemed genuinely interested in her. He told her he used to travel a lot, but was going through a rough time. He had just come out of a messy relationship and was trying to rebuild his life. Lena liked how open he seemed. He didn't pretend to be perfect. He talked about making mistakes and wanting to be better. He told her his ex had ruined him emotionally and financially. She cheated, lied, and left him with unpaid debts. He said he was still recovering but was hopeful about the future. He was looking for someone who believed in second chances. Lena listened and felt moved. She had a good job, her own apartment, and was doing well in life. But she had been lonely too. She had met men before, but none who made her feel like Eric did. He paid attention. He remembered the little things she said. He cooked her dinner, brought her flowers, and always made time for her. When he looked at her, it felt like she mattered. In the first few weeks, Eric shared more stories. He said he used to own a small business that failed because of the stress from his last relationship. He said he was working part-time now and trying to fix his credit. Lena felt sympathy. He didn't ask her for anything. He just seemed happy to be with her. Sometimes, Lena noticed small things that didn't add up. He once said he had no contact with his ex, but then she saw a message pop up on his phone with her name. He said it was old and didn't mean anything. Another time, he said he'd paid off a bill, but then mentioned struggling with that same payment a week later. When she brought it up, he would get quiet or change the subject. Lena also realized he never liked talking about money. If she asked about his job or future plans, he gave vague answers. But she didn't push. She thought maybe he was embarrassed. She told herself that love was about patience. Everyone had secrets, and he had been hurt before. Her friends noticed things too. One friend asked if Lena thought Eric was being honest. Another said he seemed too smooth, too perfect. One even joked that he looked like someone who had a story for every situation. But Lena didn't listen. She said they didn't know him like she did. She believed he had a good heart. Over time, Lena became more involved in his life. She helped him with small things, rides to work, new clothes, meals. She felt needed and loved. Eric always had the right words. He called her his angel, his light, the reason he was still going. She felt special. She thought they were building something real. What Lena didn't know was that everything he said was part of a story that was meant to make her feel safe, while keeping the truth hidden. She thought she had found love, but what she had found was a lie that looked like love. Lena and Eric got married after 10 months of dating. It felt fast, but Lena thought it was right. Eric told her he had never felt this close to anyone before. He said she made him feel safe and understood. He promised to always be honest and loyal. Lena believed him. She wanted to build a future together, so when he asked her to marry him, she said yes without hesitation. They had a small wedding, just a few friends and family. Eric said he didn't want to spend too much money because he was still working on fixing his life. Lena agreed. She thought love didn't need to be flashy. What mattered was the bond between them. After the wedding, they they moved into Lena's apartment. She had a good salary and stable work. Eric had a part-time job and said he was looking for something better. At first, things were calm. They went out sometimes, watched movies at home, and talked about future plans. But whenever money came up, Eric would grow quiet. He said it made him feel like less of a man to talk about finance. Lena didn't want to hurt his pride, so she let it go. Eric asked to keep their money separate. He said it was better that way, just in case anything went wrong. Lena was surprised but didn't argue. She wanted to respect his space. She believed marriage was about trust. She hoped over time he would open up more. A few months later, Eric sat her down. He looked serious and nervous. He told her he had a large debt, $100,000. It had come from his past relationship and failed business. He said he had been ashamed to tell her before. He promised he had never meant to hide it. He just didn't want her to think badly of him. Lena was shocked, but she listened. Eric looked sad and embarrassed. He said the debt was heavy and made him feel trapped. He said he couldn't move forward while it was hanging over him. Lena asked him why he hadn't told her sooner. He said he didn't want to lose her. She thought long and hard. It was a lot of money, but she was his wife now. She believed in helping the person you love. She believed this was part of building a life together. So she paid the debt. It emptied a big part of her saving, but she told herself it was worth it. She imagined Eric feeling free and happy again. But after she paid it, something changed. Eric became distant. He stopped smiling as much. He didn't talk to her like before. He was often on his phone or out late. When she asked him what was wrong, he said he was tired or stressed. He stopped saying sweet things. He barely touched her anymore. It felt like he was pulling away. Lena tried to fix things. She planned dinners, suggested small trips, asked him to spend more time together. But nothing worked. Eric seemed cold, like he wasn't really there. The man she had married just months ago now felt like a stranger. Lena didn't understand why. She thought paying off his debt would bring them closer. Instead, it felt like he was already gone. 1 week after Lena paid Eric's debt, he didn't come home. It was a Tuesday night. He said he was going to meet a friend for dinner. Lena didn't think much of it, but when it got late, she called him. His phone rang once, then went straight to voicemail. She tried again. Still nothing. She waited, thinking maybe his phone died. But by morning, he still wasn't home. Lena felt a knot in her stomach. She texted him over and over. No reply. She called his job. They said he hadn't come in. She checked with his friends. No one had seen him. He was just gone. She opened their shared accounts to see if she could find any clue. She looked at his credit card activity. That's when she saw it. There were charges at stores in another city, gas, food, even a hotel. He had never mentioned a trip. Lena stared at the screen, confused. Why would he travel without telling her? She opened social media to message him, but she couldn't find his profile. She searched his name, but it was gone. She tried again, then checked from another account. That's when she realized he hadn't deleted it. He had blocked her. Her hands started to shake. She checked everything: Facebook, Instagram, even email. Blocked. No message. No explanation. Just silence. One day he was her husband, and the next he disappeared like she never existed. At first, Lena was scared. She wondered if something bad had happened to him. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe something went wrong. But her worry slowly turned into something else. Something heavier. Something darker. She went back to the credit card charges and searched the hotel he stayed at. It was in a city 2 hours away. She called the hotel and asked if he was still there. They wouldn't tell her anything. She felt sick. Everything pointed to one truth. Eric had left her. She sat alone in the apartment, looking at the empty chair he always sat in. Her mind raced with questions. Why would he do this? How could he leave after everything she gave? She had emptied her savings, trusted him, believed in him. She thought they were a team. She thought love meant standing by each other. But now she saw what it really meant to him. She had been used. He had waited until she paid his debt. Then he vanished. No goodbye. No thank you. No explanation. Just blocked her from his life and walked away like their marriage meant nothing. The man who once called her his angel had taken her money, her trust, and her heart, and disappeared without a trace. Lena felt numb. She stayed up all night, going through messages, emails, and photos, trying to find a sign that this was coming. But there was nothing. Just smiles and sweet words that now felt fake. All the love he gave her was a mask. A setup. A plan to get what he wanted. And he got it. She couldn't stop thinking about him. Each morning felt heavier than the last. Her mind kept going back to everything he said and did. He vanished without warning, and still there was no message, no sign, no clue. Days passed. The silence became louder, and the questions in her head wouldn't go away. One evening, while lying on the couch, she opened the streaming account they used to share. It had been a while since she watched anything, but something caught her eye. A new show was in the continue watching list, something she'd never seen. She clicked into the account settings and noticed the most recent activity wasn't from her city. It was from a smaller town 2 hours away. Her heart beat faster. That was the same town where his credit card had been used before everything went silent. She had no way to contact him, but this was something small but real. She stared at the location for a long time, feeling both nervous and hopeful. If she was right, he was still using the account. Curious and unsure, she turned to the internet. She searched for public photos, local posts, anything that might give her a clue. It didn't take long. A few scrolls in, she froze. There he was in a photo, smiling. His arm was around a woman. They were sitting outside at a cafe, looking relaxed and happy. Her stomach twisted. The woman beside him was the same one he once spoke about with hate. The one he called toxic. The one he blamed for his problem. The one he swore he would never speak to again. Now here they were, close and comfortable, as if nothing bad had ever happened between them. She clicked deeper. More photos. More smiles. A weekend trip. Dinner together. Matching shirts at a fair. The dates on the posts were recent. He had been with this woman during the same days she was crying, wondering if he was okay. While she was searching for answers, he was living happily with the person he once said destroyed him. Everything became clear. The sad stories, the guilt, the long talks about his past, they were never real. He didn't come to her broken and in need. He came with a plan. He gained trust. He let her believe she was saving him. He accepted kindness, support, money. And when he had what he wanted, he disappeared. That woman, she had never been out of his life. She was part of it the whole time. He hadn't escaped his past. He had used someone else to fix it. All the promises, all the sweet words, were just part of the trick. It had all been fake. She sat still for a long time. Her hands were cold. Her chest was tight. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a game, and she had been played. Her savings were gone. Her heart was broken. And the man she thought she married had never been real. But as the shock faded, something else started to grow. Not fear. Not sadness. Not confusion. Fire. He thought it was over. He thought he was free. But she had just found the truth, and she wasn't going to stay quiet. She couldn't stop thinking about how he vanished so easily. Days passed, but the silence stayed. One decision kept returning to her mind. The money she gave, the trust she had, the promises he made. Nothing added up. She needed to look him in the eye. She needed to hear something real from his mouth. When she finally saw him again, he didn't smile or look sorry. He stood there, acting like she was just someone he barely knew. Before she could finish her first sentence, he interrupted. His words weren't kind. He told her to stay away. If she came near him again, he warned, there would be consequences. He said he could go to the police if she didn't stop. She stepped back, stunned. She hadn't yelled or caused trouble. She had only wanted the truth. But now, he was turning it around like she had done something wrong. Still, she didn't give up. She went to a legal expert, hoping there was a path forward. She laid out the facts, the timeline, the records. She explained the loan, the relationship, the sudden disappearance. The response wasn't what she hoped. The advisor told her that, in the eyes of the system, the payment she made was seen as a gift. Since there was no contract, no written promise, and no legal agreement, the other person wasn't responsible for giving anything back. There was no protection in place. Not even the marriage helped. She felt drained. Not only had she lost savings and trust, but the law wouldn't do anything about it. What had felt like a cruel trick was now something the world saw as her own decision. People around her tried to help in their own way. They offered comfort. They said time would help. They told her she was strong, that better days would come, that she should focus on new things. They meant well, but their words felt small. They didn't know what it was like to be fooled like that, to be played like a tool. They didn't understand what it meant to watch someone walk away with everything, and smile while doing it. She stayed quiet, but inside something began to change. Her heart wasn't broken anymore. It was sharpening. She didn't want sympathy. She didn't want kindness. She didn't even want repayment. She wanted accountability. He thought he had won. He thought there would be no consequences. But she had no intention of disappearing. There were other ways to make the truth known. Other paths that didn't involve lawyers or courtroom. If justice wouldn't come through rules, it would come another way. Not through anger. Not through noise. But with patience, clarity, and precision. She wasn't looking back anymore. She wasn't asking for anything. But she was done being the one who lost. She stopped waiting for things to get better on their own. Nothing would change unless she made it happen. She sat down and began collecting every piece of proof she had. Old messages, payment screenshots, bank records, photos, anything that showed what really happened. She organized it all, page by page, like a puzzle she was finally putting together. As she looked deeper, patterns started to appear. There were names she had heard him mention in passing. Stories he once told about old relationships that now seemed very different. She followed small clues, social media tags, phone numbers in old bills, forgotten emails, and started finding people. One by one, she reached out. Some never replied. Some didn't believe her at first, but a few did. One woman replied late at night. She said, I thought I was the only one." Then another responded the next day. She said she had been asked for money too. She had helped him, trusted him, and ended up alone and broke. More messages came in. Each one added another piece to the story. These women lived in different places, had different lives, but the pain was the same. He had done this before. Not just once. Not twice. Several times. Each story followed the same path. He met them, acted gentle, shared fake struggles, made them feel special, asked for help, and once he got it, he left. He told each one they were the only person who ever understood him. He made each one believe they were saving him. Then he disappeared. Some had given him cash. Others helped him get loans. None of them were ever paid back. Most had blamed themselves. Until now. They began talking regularly, sharing details, matching timelines, comparing what he said and did. Every small piece added more truth. They weren't just victims anymore. They were a group. And they were angry but focused. They created a plan. Not to hurt, but to expose. To stop him from doing this again. They wanted to make sure no one else would fall into the same trap. They decided to gather everything into one place. Proof, names, messages, record. One woman had a friend who worked in online safety. Another knew someone who handled public fraud awareness. Each person brought something useful. They weren't seeking revenge in the way he might have feared. They were seeking truth, and they were going to show it in a way he couldn't escape. No lies, no threats, just facts that no one could deny. She looked at everything they had gathered and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Control. Not anger. Not pain. Just clear, steady focus. She wasn't alone anymore. None of them were. What he thought he'd gotten away with was slowly unraveling. This time, he wouldn't be able to hide. She knew he wouldn't stop unless someone stopped him. No one had done it before because he always moved fast and left no proof behind. But now, things were different. She had learned how he thought, what he wanted, and how he chose his targets. She understood his steps. Now, she was going to turn them against him. She made a new identity. A different name, new photos, a new job title, and a background story that sounded real but was completely made up. She created social media accounts, joined online groups he often followed, and slowly made herself visible. She didn't message him first. She waited. She knew the kind of posts he liked, the kind of comments he replied to. And when she posted something he would notice, he did. He sent a message 2 days later. It was short and friendly. He said he liked her profile and asked where she was from. She replied kindly, carefully keeping her tone light. She pretended to be someone with a good career, a little lonely, just looking for connection. He responded quickly every time. Within a few days, they were messaging every night. He had no idea who she really was. He said the same things he had once told her. The sweet compliments, the funny stories, the same lies he used before. She listened and played along. She said she believed in second chances. He said he had been hurt in the past. She told him she understood. He said she was special. She said he was different too. She kept the act going for weeks. She spoke the way he wanted to hear. She let him feel seen, just like he used to do with her. She knew when to ask questions, when to pull back, and when to open up. Every word was planned. Every reply had a reason. He started to talk about a new business idea. He said he just needed a little help to get started. He shared a fake plan full of promises and dreams. She showed interest but said she was nervous. He reassured her again and again. She said she'd think about it. She made him wait. Then she said yes. He was excited. He thought he had found someone new to believe in him, someone else to fund his next move. But she wasn't sending money yet. She wanted more details. He didn't know it, but everything he sent was being saved, screenshots, documents, messages. She was building a file with all of it. She asked for a video call. At first, he refused. Then he agreed. When he saw her face, he froze. He didn't speak for a few seconds. She stayed calm. "Remember me?" she asked. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He ended the call. She didn't contact him again. She didn't need to. He had shown exactly who he was all over again, and this time it was recorded. The face he thought he could forget was the one that turned the game around. Everything he said, every false promise, had been part of a plan, just not the one he thought he was leading. Now, the person he once left behind was ahead of him, and she wasn't finished yet. She waited for the right moment. She didn't rush. Everything had to be done with care. All the messages, documents, and proof were ready. She had kept records of his lies, promises, and fake stories. Now it was time to let others see what she had seen. First, she sent everything to his workplace. She used a private email with no name. The folder included screenshots of him asking for money from different women, using the same words over and over. There were files showing how he told false stories about needing help for business or emergencies. It was all there, clear and detailed. Not long after, he lost his job. The company didn't want to be linked to a man with such behavior. His bosses were shocked. He had always acted polite and professional, but the truth behind the mask was too strong to ignore. They let him go without warning. Next, she sent the same folder to his friends. Some of them replied. They said they had no idea. One even said he had borrowed money from him too. Another one admitted he had stopped trusting him months ago. Slowly, the people around him started turning away. No one wanted to be close to someone who used others like that. Then she sent the files to the woman he had gone back to. She had once believed him, just like others. But when she saw the proof, everything changed. There were old messages between him and other women, sent while he was still with her. There were bank transfers, fake business pitches, and plans he had made with more than one person at a time. She didn't reply right away. But within days, she was gone. She removed him from her social media, changed her phone number, and disappeared. Just like he had done to others before. He was alone. He had no job, no partner, and no support. People around him knew what he had done. Some stopped talking to him. Others warned others about him. His name was no longer trusted. Soon after, strange things started happening with his bank. The reports she and others had filed raised questions. One day, his account was locked. Another day, he was called in for questioning. The lies he had told for so long were catching up to him, step by step. But she didn't stop there. She found a website that warned people about online scams and dishonest behavior. She shared her story there, carefully hiding personal details. The post reached many people. Some sent messages saying they knew someone like that. A few said they had seen him before. Her words were spreading. She also mailed the story to 2 local papers, not using real names, but enough details to let the truth shine. One of them published a short piece. It didn't name him, but people who knew him understood. She wasn't trying to hurt him with hate. She was showing others what he really was. The picture he painted of himself had been cleaned away. Now he had to live with the truth. Not the stories he created, but the truth others saw for themselves. And she didn't want his money back. She didn't want a sorry. She wanted him to feel what it meant to lose something real. Just like she once did. She met him one last time. It wasn't planned by chance. It was her choice. She wanted him to see her, not as the person he fooled, but as the one who stood back up. When he saw her, he looked smaller somehow. His clothes were worn. His face didn't carry the fake charm anymore. The confidence was gone. She didn't smile. She didn't get angry either. She just stood there, calm and steady. He tried to speak first, but she stopped him with a look. This wasn't about his words. This was about her truth. She told him she knew everything, how he played his game, how he tricked not just her but others too. She didn't need to yell. Her voice was enough. Each word was clear, steady, and sharp. She told him about the job he lost, the people who now avoided him, the woman who left after learning the truth. She told him how the lies fell apart, one after another, because he underestimated the one person who had trusted him the most. He said he was sorry. She didn't reply. He said maybe he could pay her back someday. She shook her head. That's not why she came. She didn't want anything from him. Not an apology. Not money. Not regret. She had rebuilt her life without him. She had healed, grown, and moved forward. While he had lost everything, she had gained clarity and strength. What she lost in cash, she gained in self-worth. She looked him in the eye one last time. There was no hate. Just the end. You were never worth the debt, she said. Then she turned and walked away. Not because she had nothing left to say, but because she had said everything that mattered.